Trial by Demon. This is a story that I wrote for a writers group exercise, and we had several words that we had to try and incorporate into the story, as well as they gave us a genre to write in. This was a fantasy genre, and I wrote it in 2016, according to this. And other than my writers group, you're probably the only ones that ever hear it. Trial by Demon. Trial by Demon, written by S.B. Doyne. The demon would come soon. At least it would if Conrad didn't enter the black opening of the cavern they called the pit. This had been the tradition of the Jandellan tribe since before history was written down in the Great Book. Once a boy turned 10 winters old, he was sent to the temple, where he would learn the ways of his ancestors. After 3 winters of learning, the boy would be brought here, to the edge of the outlands, to this cave they had nicknamed the pit. It was said once a boy entered the pit, he would face one of the most fearsome demons. It was here that the boy would see the most dangerous enemy he would ever face, and if he survived, he would be named a man. As the last rays of the sun caressed the tiny clearing, Conrad shivered. It was the cold breeze, he told himself. I'm not afraid. But the clammy sweat that slicked his skin gave lie to the tiny whisper of his own voice. His heart began to race, and he knew he must act soon or let his fear overwhelm him. He spotted a sturdy-looking limb that he could quickly fashion into a spear, but as he took a step towards it, his teacher's voice came back to him, forbidding him to carry any weapon past the border of the light and dark. All he was allowed was his clothes and his wits. A pitiful defense even against a small demon, he thought, much less one of the most fearsome. He thought of taking the spear anyway. No one would know. Conrad shook his head, knowing he wouldn't. Physical weapons would be worthless against a demon anyway. The light vanished from the clearing, and Conrad took a deep breath, stepping forward to meet his fate. It took very little time for his eyes to adjust to the darkness. The dull white of the stone made the pathway easy to discern. Winding his way through the narrow tunnel, he found his apprehension growing with each step. Every turn hid monsters. Every rock hid something foul that wanted to devour his very being. Finally, the passageway opened up into a tiny room lit by rush torches. Conrad stepped into the light and froze as he sensed motion on the other side of the room. He scanned the area, moving nothing but his eyes, but he couldn't pinpoint where the movement had been. Cautiously, he took another step forward and again froze as it happened again. This time he had seen where it had come from. It was straight across from him, a humanoid figure standing at the edge of the light, staring at him. Conrad's heart raced, but the shadowy figure made no move to attack or advance. With burning, unblinking eyes, Conrad stared at the heart of the darkness, trying to see his enemy, while at the same time trying to come up with a plan. Nothing seemed to penetrate the numbing terror that had jammed his thought process. They stared at one another across the room, neither advancing or retreating, but locked in a battle of the mind. Conrad hoped the demon couldn't see him any better than he could see yet. Surely it would see past the false bravado he had forced himself to project. Another step forward brought the same result from the shadowy figure. It slowly advanced as Conrad did, mimicking his approach. Was it toying with him? Was it waiting for him to get close before attacking? Another step, and he could almost make out the demon. He could almost see the most dangerous foe. Just one more step. As the figure resolved itself into the light, Conrad's fear evaporated. For a moment, he stood confused. Then he laughed as understanding flooded through him. It was a mirror. A huge, polished piece of metal stretched across the cavern, reflecting his own image back to him. "Do you understand, my son?" came a familiar voice. Conrad's teacher stepped from behind a screened alcove and into the light. "I think so, teacher," Conrad replied. "I am my own worst enemy. The demons within us are far more fearsome than those from the void. They rob us of our initiative and fill us with self-doubt." "This is a lesson I will always remember, teacher. Is this trial always the same? Does every initiate face a fake demon? The demon is all too real, Conrad. Never think it otherwise. To do so would lead to your death. His teacher scowled. But no, each pupil has a test designed to fit them as individuals. Some physical combat, others tests of skill. This is how we keep word of the trial a secret. The trial you faced was a special one. It is the one of all those chosen to be protectors are given. You have passed and will go on to train in their ranks at the rising of the sun. Now go back to the temple and tell no one what you have faced here. Thank you, teacher. The darkness wasn't as cold on the way back to the temple as it had been earlier that day, and Conrad's steps were light. He had faced his demon, and although he hadn't defeated him, he knew how to hold him in check.
Yeah.